Hello, everyone. Dr. Rodney, Unmasked and Inspired. Over the next 4 sessions, I have the privilege of sharing with you someone that is changing the world, one hug, one high five at a time. His name is David Hale Sylvester. David has the privilege and reputation of going around the world, and I mean literally going around the world, sharing a hug and high five with individuals as he rides his bicycle. Yes, riding a bicycle, sharing compassion and showing care for others around the world. He hails from Philadelphia, right in the city of brotherly love. And in 2012, he wrote his first book, Traveling at the Speed of Life. You can find it on Amazon and other places. But he also has recently written a very important book. It is called Brothers in Arms, Real Men Hug. And so we look forward to you being able to read some of his works, but also it is my privilege to introduce to you all David Hale Sylvester. I've asked him to share a few thoughts about self-care, also about what he sees going on in the world. So in these very short clips, you'll get to know David.
Hey, everybody, my name is David Hale Sylvester, and my biggest claim to fame is that I have traveled all over the world hugging people as a way to make the world a better place. It all started on September 11th back in 2001, and when one of my friends was killed. And for the last 25 years, I've gone around the world hugging people, and I've been to 50 states and 42 countries and hugged well over 1 million people and written a bunch of books about it. And my mission is to just try and make the world a better place. I think that we all sort of lose sight of, especially now, where things are, everything that is talked about is a political party, a political ideology, systematic this, systematic racism, systematic, whatever, the patriarchy, everything is talked about on a higher level, this mass level. And I think we often forget about the power that each of us has individually, the power that each of us has to positively affect our neighbor. And that is so overlooked. It's not even funny, and it's such an intense power that we have to lift, to elevate the mood, to elevate the confidence level, to just bring about really great change, and that's just with the person right next to us. One story. There's a couple stories that I'm writing about right now, um, and it is one was a woman I met in Rome, and she was very skeptical of what I was doing, very skeptical of why I was going around hugging people, what I was getting out of it, and stuff like that. And you could just see she had this built up this wall between us. We were sitting outside of a cafe, and she was sitting at one table, I was sitting at another. But she was, even though there was this wall of skepticism, she was still intrigued enough to constantly ask me questions. And in asking me these questions, I felt like she was looking for something. As it turned out, she was, because she eventually sat at my table and we started talking. And this woman opened up about being assaulted, and she said she hadn't shared that with anybody. And she wanted some advice on that. And I think a lot of times, because I show people that I am willing to hug them, because I've met so many people, I'm probably not going to judge them. And probably the biggest thing, after also, excuse me, willing to listen to their problems, is that I'm leaving town the next day. And so once this person saw that I was, like I said, willing to hug her, willing to listen, and I told her I was leaving town the next day, this woman just started, she literally unburdened herself with this story of assault. And, and I didn't have the answers. No one has the answers, but I made it safe. I gave her a safe space to talk. And you could see that she felt better for that. And I have a ton of stories about that are always, about the positive side of hugs. But I think the better stories are when people just unload themselves, unload their burdens, unload their pain to me, and I'm willing to listen to that. And that's probably just. And that lets me know that, hey, listen, that person needed to load that. And I realized that there's not many people that are willing to listen without judging somebody, and that's a huge thing. And that probably is, it doesn't take much to change somebody. It doesn't take much to brighten somebody's day. It doesn't take much to elevate somebody. It just doesn't take much. Again, I think that we all think that it it takes so much. It takes so much money. It takes so much this. It takes a willingness on both parties, though. I mean, for real change to take place, it takes a willingness on both parties. But it's a lot of times the hardest thing is for a person willing to step outside of themselves to say, hey, listen, I'm going to smile at that person. I'm going to say please. I'm going to say thank you. I'm going to not throw my pain, trauma, problems onto somebody. It takes a willingness to do that. That I think that as we've gotten to a more, people have become reliant on their cell phones and stuff like that, and you know, people it's made people more selfish. The immediacy of social media, the immediacy of I can get things instantly, whatever it is, food, I can get it all delivered to me. It's turned us, made us all much more selfish people. And um and we think that it looks like the world treats people like everybody should be performing for them, when really it's like we should be giving service to others. So that's one part of the equation. The other part, like I said, it's two parts. In order to make the world a better place, the person has to be willing to accept the basic goodness and understanding that, you know, I money comes and goes, goods come and go, but kindness is something that stays with you and can empower you for a long period of time. I haven't gotten paid off of this, off of my hugs and high fives and stuff like that, but in between the hugs and the high fives and the smiles and whatever has come such a I've had a wealth of confidence, a wealth of compliments that have encouraged me to be a better dude. Everything. When I've given of myself to hug somebody and they've given back, and I've made it safe for them to sort of have this exchange and they've given stuff back to me. It has made me strive to be a better person and stuff like that. And so I guess the biggest lesson that I would say is it doesn't take much to change somebody, the world. Self-care and men. Self-care in men is a big deal. I think self-care, there's so many different ways that men can, should, and consequently don't take care of themselves. First things first, take care of your body. Take care of your body. Your skin first. Take care of your skin. Wear sunblock. It is lotion. Just use. Don't just buy any old soap. Use something that is exfoliate your skin. Use something that is going to smell good. I mean, your skin it covers your whole body. So use something that smells good, that, when you smell yourself, when you have your own scent, you are inspired, you're motivated, you're pleased by your own scent. Next thing I would say, take care of what goes inside your body. Eat well. Don't drink too much. Treat your body. You be your best friend. And would your best friend feed you garbage? Would your best friend, give you garbage to drink? Would your best friend, when you look in the mirror, that is your best friend. And treat yourself as if you were treating your best friend. And then, that's how you nourish your body. That's how you're treating your skin well. And then I would say, you know, talk about your problems. Talk about your problems. I think men just don't talk about their problems enough. And I'm not saying bitch. I'm not saying whine. I'm not saying, be stymied or stunted by your problems, but at least get them out in the open. The one thing that I always say is that problems are like cockroaches. They only exist in the dark. So just turn the light on those problems. Let those problems scatter. I think a lot of times I've met men who have let their problems and pain and trauma, fester. They haven't communicated it to anybody. They haven't articulated it to anybody. So it just sort of just is just this this eddy of emotion, of this casserole of unresolved feelings that just sits there and just bakes and bakes and bakes and bakes and bakes and bakes and bakes. And if you think about an eddy of just swirling water, it just goes nowhere. And if you think about, just, something that has stayed in the oven and bakes too long, it just eventually turns to rock, and it just sits there, and it decays you from the inside. And I think self-care is hugely important. I just think it's that important. Talk to your friends, and I think you should, when you have problems, I think it's important for men to talk to somebody that's above them. I think that above them in age, above them in stature, just above them. Don't talk to the people who are on your level, because they are only going to know the same stuff that you are. They have access to the same amount of information that you have. So why would you expect any different energy, any different outcome from those people? So talk to somebody who's older, talk to somebody who's more successful, talk to somebody who can say, "Oh man, I remember those problems. I remember that. I remember struggling with this. I remember thinking my problems of my 20s were the biggest thing, or the problems of trying to get ahead in the corporate world were the biggest thing. I remember, somebody who can sit there and just say, and almost look at it, you know, just and be like, oh my God, almost like a nostalgic thing. Sometimes they can just look at the biggest problem that you have at 25, 27, 35, or whatever. A 60-year-old can look at with a nostalgic lens, and all of a sudden turn the temperature down, the intensity temperature down of that problem, to the point where it's not a problem to you anymore. And all of a sudden you're talking to somebody, because they have more access to time, because they've worked their way through that. Um, you have you just have a fresh perspective, and all of a sudden your problem isn't a problem anymore. It's been downgraded to an issue that you just and there's a pathway to a solution. I hope that makes sense, but that's what I think.
Thank you for joining Dr. Rodney Unmasked and Inspired. And also, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel.